Just one apology in terms of the presentation. The previous one was quite interactive, but the only similarity is that it's still a numbers game in terms of the presentation. Unfortunately, Antoinetta couldn't make it this morning. Her child fell ill, and you know a mother's love. Antoinetta is actually employed as a researcher in Limpopo. I am by no means a researcher, so I'm just masquerading as one. Whether I pull it off, you be the judge. Just some background. During COP17, we had a number of pre-COP17 provincial summits. And we took the opportunity to carry out the survey during those summits, but we couldn't get to all 9 because by the time we started off the survey, 2 summits were held already. But of the 7 that were held thereafter, we reached just over 1,100 participants. And I won't read through the slides because of the time. The purpose of the study, you will see that it was to gauge people's perceptions around climate change, to see just how well informed they are around this issue, and also to see what are the attitudes towards climate change and are they in any way trying to do something. Before I go on to the next slide, just in terms of the structure of the presentation, what I would do is I will flash up the question. I'll give you the results, the country's results, and the slide after that will have the provincial breakdown. I won't talk to the provincial breakdown, it's just there for you to see for now. Towards the end, I will make a comparison between how Europe sees the same questions, because we use the same questions, and there's some interesting information there, and I'll just finish off with some closing remarks. Okay, the first question was, in their opinion, which of the following do you consider to be the most serious problems currently facing the world as a whole? I'm only going to present what they said about climate change rather than everything else. 30% of them said that it was the most serious, which means they gave it a number 1. 20% thought it was second most serious, and the third was at 12%. So the maths there says it's 62% of the respondents thought it was a fairly serious problem. But just how serious a problem is it at the moment? Well, at least 3/4 of the respondents thought it was very serious. And that's the provincial breakdown. It looks like Mpumalanga is just beaten everybody else by a short head over there. The second question was around how well are you informed about the causes, consequences, and the ways to fight climate change. Okay, there's 3 questions in one. And they had to respond in terms of very well, fairly well, etc., in terms of how well informed they are on these 3 different issues. Going to the first one, on the causes of climate change, you will see 81% are between fairly and very well informed. Okay, so as a country, we seem to be fairly well informed about the causes of climate change, and that's just the provincial breakdown in terms of how well informed the different provinces are in terms of the causes of climate change. Again, Mpumalanga seems to be doing very well. On the consequences of climate change, we had 80% who are fairly well to very well informed about the consequences of climate change. And that's just the provincial breakdown as well. Going on to the next one, how well informed are we in the ways to fight climate change? That's 74% that are between fairly well and very well informed. That's almost 3/4. So we are very well informed about how to fight climate change, and that's the provincial breakdown. Okay, then there were a set of 6 questions which required people to respond either in terms of whether they totally agree, tend to disagree, or totally disagree with the following statements. I'll go through each one of those, and we'll follow the same pattern in terms of, I'll give you the national results, followed by the provincial breakdown. The first one, climate change is an unstoppable process, right? Remember the question. We can do nothing about it. 17% agreed with the statement. Okay, and that's the provincial breakdown. Going to the next question, the seriousness of climate change has been exaggerated. Here we are 21%, either tending or totally agree with the statement. Going on to the third question, emission of carbon dioxide has only a marginal impact on climate change. 27%, almost a quarter of the respondents agreed with the statement. That's the provincial breakdown. Fighting climate change can have a positive impact on the economy. Okay, maybe you want to guess. 84% felt that fighting climate change can have a positive effect on the economy. And that's the provincial breakdown. The second last question was, alternative fuels such as biofuels should be used to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Well, we had 77% agreeing with the statement. And that's the provincial breakdown. The last question was, you personally have taken actions aimed at fighting climate change. 79% said they've done something to fight climate change. Okay? That's the provincial breakdown. Now, just to go on to the comparisons between South Africa and Europe, remember the questions were the same. Okay? The only difference was that the survey in Europe was carried out during 2008, and they had 30,000 participants in 27 countries. But if you do the maths, it works out to approximately 1,100 per country, which is what we had, and that's just pure fluke. I'm not going to go through each block, but maybe just to highlight some of them. If you look at the first one, climate change is the most serious problem currently facing the world. We are saying 72%, Europe is saying 62%. And I've just put in the range over there, the range being the highest and the lowest, and the country that responded accordingly. If you look at how serious a problem climate change is at the moment, we are saying 78%, Europe is saying 75%. United Kingdom is down at 59%. How well informed are we about climate change on those three separate issues? We are far more well informed than Europe. Okay, I won't go through the ranges over there. Okay, coming to the issue of climate change is an unstoppable process. Okay, we said 17% agree with the statement in the country. But if you look at the range in Europe, it goes from 52% in Estonia down to 19%, which is similar to ours in Malta. 1 minute. Okay, read the rest very quickly. But I just want to point out one more. The one about the economy, where we said 84% feel that it will have a positive impact on the economy. Europe says 56%. But the interesting part about the information here is that Greece is at 75%. And if Greece's optimism is correctly placed, can you imagine that climate change is going to help solve the financial woes? Just some closing remarks. The majority of the people perceive that climate change is a serious issue. The majority of the people feel informed about climate change. We appear to be generally more informed than Europe about the causes, consequences, and ways to fight climate change. We disagree on the economy issue. I just want to point out these are just the results that I'm presenting. Obviously, it's open to interpretation. Its use, I'm not quite so sure. It depends on who's reading the information. Thanks.